Hey everybody, welcome back to Game Changer Shorts. These are short 15, 20-minute interviews where I interview game changers from around the world. These are people who are making an impact on the world and really changing the game. And for me, a game changer, there's something that came up this week called a crucible, leadership crucible. I know, Laura. And a crucible is a transformative experience through which an individual comes to a new or altered sense of identity. I thought that was a really cool explanation of really what the game changer is. And I'm excited today because my guest today is none other than Laura Borland, who joins us from across the pond, as they say. Laura is a life executive coach, and she coaches some of the highest performers and businesses around the world. She's done a TED Talk. She's super fun, and I'm excited. You guys are going to really be in for a treat today. Hey, Laura, how are you doing today?
I'm very good. I'm just laughing. I'm thinking, wow, that's totally bigging me up.
Bigging you up. That's right. Well, it's true. I mean, you have done a TED Talk. You do work with leaders all over the world and businesses. And I thought having you on just to talk a little about your journey and these game-changing moments or these crucibles. It's a weird word, but when I read it this week, I was like, that really fits what it is. It's like that moment in our life when a new insight comes or a shift comes, and I says, wow, maybe I could do this, or I'm going to go after that thing that I've been holding off on. So before we get into that, why don't you tell us a little about you, what you're up to in the world, and just introduce yourself a little bit.
So I'm laughing because I'm thinking, actually, you reminded me only last week that I said I'm on holiday, and you said, are you not on holiday all the time? And so actually that is the aim of my game for life, to feel like I'm permanently on holiday. I actually am on holiday as we're talking. And what is there to say? I absolutely, like, it's such a privilege to get to do the work that we do in the world, and actually how it changes me, and also then how it changes other people. And I'm chuckling because I think actually for me it began to probably open up when I really committed and I didn't have a plan B.
Yeah.
And so it's a genuine honor to get to play with people and get to create awesome shit
Yeah.
in people's worlds. And it's just that thing where it's like, game on, how easy can this be?
Right. Game on. And I love, thank you. And for those, I had to get used to the word holiday for those in the United States, because, a vacation is what we usually call what you guys call a holiday. And I learned that because I was talking to someone, I think it was you, and they were saying a holiday, and it was like 2 weeks. And I was like, what holiday lasts for 2 weeks? Right. So, so for all of you guys who aren't as inclined to know the other side of the world, which I've learned now, a holiday's a vacation. And I love that analogy when you said, I'm always on holiday or vacation, right? Like when your work and your play, there seems to be not so much of a distinction, right?
Absolutely. And I think actually, and maybe you be my translator.
No, say it like you say it. We usually say it wrong, so trust me. I'm from New York. We mispronounce stuff. We're a little cocky out here. We think we say it right, but I'm really clear that we say things wrong.
Nobody would ever say you were cocky. No. So game change. I think actually, so there's been many game changers for me. And I'm chuckling because actually there's possibly been game changers in every aspect of my life. I think that actually before I took responsibility, that was the biggest thing for me. First of all, was like actually the idea that I am the owner of this thing called the mess, called my life. And that was a real game changer, because it felt like, and once you begin to see that, then there's the living of it. And that's a practice, which is another favourite word of mine. But actually going back to the idea of being on holiday, the reason that for me it was about being on holiday is because I really specialized in force and effort and pushing, and I can get shit done. And actually this idea of allowing things to happen, and the absolute, do you remember we would have these conversations and you'd say, everything you need is right here. And I would be like, it's really not feeling it. And actually this idea of really slowing down. And so there's something for me around that game changer was the idea that, what if this could be easy? What if this is actually much easier than I've decided and concluded that it is? And by easy, I don't mean that. So sometimes it's really uncomfortable. It's massively uncomfortable. And so it's almost like, can I sit in the uncomfortableness? And sometimes that doesn't feel easy. But actually, it's just practice again.
Yeah. I love that, Laura. And I think that understanding that, like, that pushing, I got to get stuff done, that there is another way that I can relax into it. And I think where people go sometimes is they think, well, if I don't put that pressure, if I relax into it, somehow I'll get complacent and be on a couch eating chips. But that isn't the case. You're still showing up for work, but you're showing up in a different kind of way and relationship to the work you're doing, right?
Massively. And I think then it becomes very much, it does feel like much more like play, because I think that, again, being really quite driven, I'm like, it turns out there's nowhere to get to.
Yeah.
And so actually this idea of the journey is the game.
Yeah.
And I guess it's like the more I practice that, the easier it becomes. And that was another thing for me, the practice, that was a game changer. Actually, it feels like there's all these things that happen. It's almost like the more you step onto it, the more you see, the more you see, the more you see. Yeah. And I think this idea of, I remember being a kid and learning to play, getting this trombone, took the trombone home, took it out of the case, couldn't play it. Was really surprised I couldn't play it. I was like, and so actually for me, this idea of practice, and the idea that there's actually nowhere to get to, because even when you get to where you think you want to get to, you're going to want to get somewhere else. Right. So there's been stuff that I've created in my business and my life that the me of like a number of years ago would just have been like, it's such a beyond for me, and it feels like it's just beginning. But no matter where we get, I've always got, well, you know, maybe it's there or maybe it's there. And so actually that idea of, like your clock, it's like just being right here now. And the weirdness is the more you relax, which seems really counterintuitive when you're hanging on and you want to make shit happen. So it's about who we're being.
I love you. You're saying, so you're dropping jewels today, Laura. So I just want to slow some of this down, because no, this is really, really powerful stuff. And I love the fact, you know, there's nothing to get to. It doesn't mean we don't have goals. But like you said, you set a goal, and once you arrive there, you realize that it's just part of the journey. So bringing it back to practice, right? I have this saying that, listen, you're never, ever going to get it. You just have to practice, right? And sometimes people think that I'm just going to get it one day. I'm going to arrive. And once I arrive, then everything will be okay. But actually, it's in the showing up and the being, like you said, and we practice our way through that we can actually enjoy the journey. And the other thing you said about the practice and relaxing into things is, you know, when I work with like professional athletes, they have this thing called the zone, right? And we've talked about this, but in life, we call it like the flow, right? When you're in the flow, and I've seen you just go into businesses and be in the flow and transform organizations. Nobody ever explains that as holding on, hard, stressful. They always say it was like the game came to me. I was just having fun and it was light and things like that, right? And I think that's what you're really highlighting today.
Can we talk about sex?
You can talk about, yeah, of course. This is all in. Let's go.
So actually, the real analogy is, it's like, if anyone's ever tried to have an orgasm, it just doesn't happen. You've just got to like relax.
Right.
And it's kind of like exactly the same. It's exactly the same thing. But there's a part of us really wants to like hold on, because it feels scary, because that's what we've been taught. And I think that the other thing in what you were saying there that really occurred to me was, there was so many years where I was trying to get somewhere, because I was like, oh, right, I've figured out this thing called life. I've got it all figured out. And so maybe that would work for, I don't know, 5 minutes or 5 hours or whatever. But then there was a sense of like judgment, because it wouldn't work. So I thought I'd figured it out, and then I hadn't figured it out. And now it's just, I think another game changer has been actually really kind. It's a bit like, oh, well, there's been times where I can think about, I've been an asshole, or I'm thinking, God, if it's like people like I'm working with could see me now, and I'm just a bit like, well, okay, well, wasn't my smartest choice, and what do I choose now? So there's something around, again, no matter what we see, there's always more to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I'm hearing is also like, when people say being an asshole, you could think, oh, I've been like this to other people. But the thing behind that also is like the self-compassion, right? How many times we beat ourselves up. I'm not where I want to be or should be. And really learning, it's a process of practicing self-compassion. Because if we think about it, all the stuff we say to ourselves that probably isn't healthy, we wouldn't say to our spouse, or we wouldn't say to our children. But I think that process of practicing self-compassion is big too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So I got so much. And I want to hear, like, what do you think the impact of these insights you've had along the way, right? Because game-changing moments aren't just one moment. Like you said, started as playing the trombone, bringing it up to today, and how you look at goals and achieving things in your life and presence. What do you think the impact of really showing up on the court, as I say, as a game changer, of this awareness that I'm never going to get it, but if I continue to practice, I can create out here? What do you think the impact that's been on you personally, on your business, on your relationships? Can you share some of that with us?
Of course. And I guess it's like the first thing it comes to me is, it's like, actually, it was all really serious and significant.
Yeah.
And now it's this idea around, I think somebody said that I won the prize for the longest TED Talk title everywhere, because I just wouldn't like compromise on it. But this idea of like, I don't think we're here on planet Earth to have a shit time. I actually think, we are creators, and I think that we're either creating for ourselves or against ourselves. And I think that when we're creating for ourselves, I think life is just the most magnificent, delicious adventure that we just want to get up and play every day. And believe me, I've played both ends. It's like I've been in the space where it's like life has felt like something to get through, and it's felt like shit. And now it's like, actually, I can look at that person and go, wow, I made that. So I think that actually the more I live and be this, I think the thing is that, I can walk up in a business, and if I'm not looking to make an impression, I remember like saying to this client who I really love, and she was stressing out about something, and it's a serious business and corporate business. And I remember saying to her, what are you stressing out about? We're all going to be dead in 50 years. And actually, it's now become like a line that she uses in the business. And it's that thing around, stop taking ourselves so seriously.
Yeah.
Because the weirdness is, when we are not taking ourselves so seriously, the things that seem unattainable, when we're really pushing and trying and forcing an effort, and that just we're actually pushing away, when we're actually playing, we pull them in ways that are just magical, and there's just always more to see. And then it just becomes like a big adventure, and it's a big game. What else? Oh, I wonder if I could do that. Oh, I wonder if I could see that figure. Oh, I wonder, like, because it's not coming from a space of poverty mentality.
Yeah.
And let me be clear that actually, I'm not saying that I never come from poverty mentality. It's like the difference now is I'm like, whoa, look at that. And so actually, to be able to see it, which is the slowing down, and then to choose again, as opposed to, I think that I spent years in poverty mentality trying to figure it out and solve it, and was convinced there was something wrong with me. And it turned out the only thing I was just creating from a thought. I just didn't know what I was doing. Yeah. Bless that person.
Really powerful. Yes, yes. Mic drop moment. I'm just saying, good stuff. Yeah, and like that scarcity, right? It's like poverty, aka that scarcity mentality where I'm not enough, I don't have enough, I'm not going to be enough. And then that transition and the freedom behind it. Good stuff. Good stuff. So before we go, I want you to just share with our audience what you're up to in the world, what you're really excited about, what you're working on, and what we can expect from you in the future or right now.
And it's funny because it's like this idea of reinvention. So it's like it changes. It's not like it's static. So for me, I think recently it's about getting clearer around who are the people I want to play with, and who do I need to create myself as to be able to show up in that space. And I'm also I'm writing a book, and I'm chuckling because that's a journey for me. It just turns out that you can't write a book in 5 minutes. I know, right?
Right. I figured that out. I didn't realize it took longer than that, but.
So that's the practice, and I think actually there's just something around. It's always, I guess I'm always looking at all of my areas of my life in terms of like relationship, money, business. It's like home, and it's just like, okay, how can I be more of service? Yeah. Yeah, and that was the other game changer. You've got to include yourself. Yeah. And being of service. Yeah. Yeah. Include yourself.
Include yourself. I got so much today. Self-compassion, service, showing up, and then highlighting who you're being. I know you said that a lot of just people worry about what to do, but I have always been of the understanding that it's who you need to be comes first, because the being brings you back to being present. Once I'm present, the doing will appear. I'll know what to do next, and it doesn't become this big thing to kind of overcome. So where can people find you? What's the best way to find you?
I guess you could go to my website. It's like I'm not the queen of like social media, so you could check me out on my website, which that's lauraborland.com.
Awesome.
Or in Bath, near the UK, in the UK.
In the UK, go over to the UK and just meet her in person. Laura, I want to thank you for this amazing time we spent together. You truly are a game changer, and I want to thank you for coming out.
Thank you for asking me.
Yeah, it was really fun. And for all you guys, thanks for tuning in. If you want to check us out and see what we're up to, we have a free global game changer community. It's a free Facebook page where you're getting all these videos, but also content, and being part of a community, a worldwide community that really is about personal, professional growth and supporting each other. Thanks again for checking us out on Game Changer Shorts, and I'll see you soon. Peace.